Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Thursday Night Live Meditation. It's 6:30 Eastern Time, and I'm really excited to be here with you. As usual, tonight I'm going to do a little lecture for about 15 minutes, and then for 20 minutes I will guide meditation, and for the last moments you can put some comments in the comment section, and I can see if you've made any comments there, and I can respond. So if you want to type something in, let me know where you're from. That's always exciting. And at the end, I can look through and see if you had any questions. And if by some chance I don't know the answer, I can always follow up with you on email or direct you to a place where you can get more information if needed. I am so excited about the topic tonight. So if you got my newsletter or if you've been following me, you know that the topic tonight I'm going to talk to you about is breath work. And if you follow the yoga tradition or meditation, you really understand the importance of breath work, and it's usually a really big part of your practice. So I'm just going to check one other logistical thing right here. Okay, there we go. All right, excellent. So a reminder for those of you who, if this is your first time watching a video with me, I can't see who you are or that you're here. It's not like Zoom where I can see you, but I can see that people have joined. And if you want to make a comment in the comment section, of course you can. Thank you for being here. I'm going to head right into the lecture part of tonight for about 15 minutes. And if you miss any of this at all, you can always come back to it and watch it on the replay. The replay might not load up right away, but it will be visible soon after tonight, a little later this evening, and certainly by tomorrow it will be uploaded if it doesn't show up for you sooner. Okay, so we'll get into breath work. In the yoga tradition, breath work is such an important part of what we do, and also it's gaining so much popularity now in modern health and modern research. Here's what I want to explain about that I think is really cool. The ancient traditions that I study and that I teach about, so yoga and Ayurveda and chakra theory, these have been around for a really long time. And they've lasted this long, not because of science proving that they were right, but because of experience, meaning people had these experiences, they noticed benefits, they continued to do these things and pass the knowledge on, right, through word of mouth before the internet. So these teachings have been passed on, and the experience has shown people, wow, this works. And they try different things, they say, wow, this really works. So these traditions like yoga and meditation and Ayurveda, they interest me so much because I had some health issues, and I won't go into the whole story right now, but earlier in life, before I knew a lot about meditation and yoga, I had started doing meditation and yoga, and I started noticing some benefits. So that's when I really then took a deeper dive and immersed myself at Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, which is where I really did a lot of my early studies and lived there for a year and got completely immersed in these practices, and I noticed huge differences. So the experience is what is really important for you to discover, does this work for you? Because that will then allow you to know if you are really benefiting from this more than what I'm going to tell you about science, but I am going to get there today. So why it's so important for me to lead an experience for you when I teach is because that's how you will know, does this work for you? And not only will you know if this works for you, but it will help you then want to make it a habit as you start to learn the benefits. There's so many times sometimes I'll tell stories about my mother, or I'll tell stories about my brother, and I've asked them if I could, but they haven't been in my classes yet, so now they'll get a chance to still tell me if it's okay going forward. But the reason I asked them if I could talk about them is that anyone has great stories if they start to practice meditation and notice the benefits. And the only reason I don't talk about my father, because I have a father and I also love my dad, it's that I haven't really had conversations with him about meditation, but I've had them with my mother and my brother. So not leaving anyone out here, it's just I gravitate toward talking about my mom and my brother. And it just seems like people can relate to moms and brothers and stories like that. So that's why they get to be center in my teaching life. So one of the stories I just want to say has something to do with my mother. One time she called me when I was at Kripalu, and that was several years ago. And back then, a lot of times it wasn't practice for people usually to maybe just call each other, sometimes without like checking in first, like, oh, I'll call you tomorrow, or I'll call you tomorrow at this time. And she was calling out of the blue, it felt like. So I was like, oh, I hope everything's okay. And when I picked up the phone, here's what's so interesting. She had said to me in that phone call, she said, Heidi, my emotions seem a lot more stable lately. And I was like, and we all notice that if our emotions seem more stable or not. And I said, wow, that's really great. And she was like, well, the reason I'm calling you though is I've been meditating, and I wonder if meditation could be the reason that my emotions feel a lot more stable. And what I loved about that comment, what I loved about it is that that's how we ourselves discover what works for us. It's not that someone says it, but it's like all of a sudden there's this weird association in your brain. I'm using the word weird, but it's not really weird. Like, wait, I was doing this and then this happened. And then when we put it together, that's pretty powerful. So she was like, could one be affecting the other? And so first I remember asking her, well, what are you doing? Like, what does meditation look like for you? Because she and I hadn't talked about it. And so she told me, and yeah, that was generally what meditation is, that proves to have great benefits. So I said, of course, they definitely can be linked. That's amazing. That's so incredible. They can be linked. And I just loved that it was sort of this inquiry that she had. And she's like, wow, can this be this? And she noticed the effects one day, so much so that she gave me a call about it. And that's how I've learned over time, that I do these practices and all of a sudden something, it really to me feels magical, happens. Like something doesn't trigger me as much anymore, or I don't get as nervous about something that when I was younger, I would really get nervous about. Or there are just so many benefits, but when you feel it yourself, it's really better than what anyone can tell you could happen. So that's, again, I just want to reiterate why these practices are important and why that's always a part of what I do if I coach one-on-one, if I teach in a class, and for these YouTube lives, I do a 20-minute session with you so that you can just start to do this practice and see how it feels. So I have done a little bit of research. Well, I already knew the stuff, but I wanted to get it straight from the horse's mouth, from the National Institutes of Health, which is the largest biomedical research agency in the world. It's part of the US Department of Health. So I've got some actual word-for-word notes from them. But before I get into that, what I want to tell you is what we're going to learn today. So there are many breathing practices in the yoga tradition. Some are calming. Some are even more balancing for the hemispheres of the brain, which is really cool for feeling equilibrium. There's one that's a cooling breath that can cool you down. There's one that's a heating breath that can help you feel warmer. There's energizing breath. There's so many different ways to modify your breath. And like I said, it's really ancient stuff, so it's been around a while. And modern science now is starting to test these things. So the things that I teach, energy work, breath work, meditation, even I did some research about lavender, because you know how when you smell lavender, it can be calming. Well, there's even research now on that. So I wanted to talk to you about the experience first to tell you that's why these practices have been around a while, but that modern science is now very curious because now doctors are wanting to help prescribe things like meditation and breath work. So it's pretty cool. Excuse me one second. What I think I'll do is I'll put my earplugs in 1 second. You might hear me even better. Actually, these are earbuds, not earplugs. Hold on 1 sec. Okay, I'm back and I have a cup of tea. Did you guys bring a cup of tea? For just such an occasion. So, sorry about that. So what I want to share with you now is some evidence about breathing and the type of breathing we're going to do today. So I told you there are all those different types of breathing. We're going to do a very basic calming breath to start off with. Very basic calming breath. I want to tell you some science behind it because that can help your mind be even more interested in why we're going to learn this. So here's the deal. From the National Institutes of Health, and you can look this up online, NIH, they have shown that the potential for diaphragmatic breathing, which is a fancy word for what we're going to do in a minute, you'll see, it can improve cognitive performance and reduce negative consequences of stress in healthy adults. So this type of breathing has been shown to do that. Psychological studies have revealed the practice to be an effective non-pharmacological, so meaning not drugs, right? An effective non-pharmacological intervention for emotion enhancement, including a reduction in anxiety, depression, and stress. So breathing exercises, like the one I'm going to show you, have been shown to do this in psychological studies. There was a one-day breathing exercise, so doing this as a one-day program, found to relieve the emotional exhaustion and depersonalization induced by job burnout. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but this exhaustion or feeling kind of out of body experience and a huge amount of stress induced by job burnout. The breathing can help. And I really did that a lot when I've had full-time jobs. I definitely took breathing breaks throughout the day. Currently, breathing practice is widely applied in clinical treatments. So again, this is clinical. In clinical treatments for mental conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, phobias, and other stress-related emotional disorders. So clinically, it's part of treatments. Studies have shown that there's an association between breathing and attention. We're definitely going to do that today, notice that today. And clinical studies have demonstrated that breathing, including meditation, can represent new non-pharmacological approaches for improving attention. Now, here's one that I really want to talk with you about that is really important and that I've noticed is really useful during COVID times. Studies oriented toward the physiological mechanism of breathing have indicated that there's a shared basis between breathing, emotion, and cognition involving the autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system is largely unconscious, and it's what regulates our heart rate and the bodily functions like digestion, respiratory, and just all these pretty much things that we're not usually paying attention to, but are really important to our health. So it says that there's been these studies that have shown that breathing, emotion, and cognition and the autonomic nervous system are all connected. So I'm going to come back to that because of how this can be useful during COVID. And then the final thing I just want to say is that dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system. So dysfunction of these pretty much involuntary actions that are going on in the body, they are, I want to get the words exactly right since this is science right here, but so dysfunction of that is observed in adults who have anxiety, panic disorders, depression, and other stress-related mental and physical disorders. So again, the reason I read that off paper is these are things I know, but I wanted to get it just right for you in case you like the sciencey aspect. So the deal is studies have shown this, and here's why I want to say it's useful for COVID times. I had a period in the COVID time, I had a time period when I was having some physical symptoms that were making me nervous. So they had to do with things that might seem like those autonomic responses, right? Like I was having I just wasn't feeling my greatest. And so I went to the doctor to get checked out. And she said, "Oh, do you have COVID symptoms?" I said, no, I just want like a general checkup. I'm not feeling so great. She did a general checkup and everything was fine. Everything was great. And so what occurred to me was I thought, if I'm feeling off, what's my breathing like? Because I was still practicing yoga, I was still doing meditation, but I was wondering in those moments when I wasn't doing that, was there something different about my breathing? Because I'm sure even if you know nothing about breath work from this science or meditation aspect, you would imagine that if you hold your breath throughout the day, that's not going to be so great. So we hold our breath sometimes when we're nervous, we just hold it. Sometimes we hold our breath when we're really focused on something. And what I noticed is I think I was holding my breath more because of COVID. Like when I had my mask on, I was holding my breath a little bit because I was concerned about the viral disease, everything passing through. So I'm just thinking, if you're not feeling well, whether it's emotional, as we just heard, or if you're feeling extra stress, or if you're not sleeping well, or if you're having any of these things that feel more off than usual, especially during COVID, but anytime, really useful to check your breath and check in with yourself and notice, are you holding your breath often? And again, it's normal and natural for people to do it, especially when looking at computer screens if you get really focused. So checking in with your breath is going to be really important going forward now that I've told you this information. I hope that this is helpful because we're going to get into the practice in a moment. But what I want to share with you is one more thing about things like attention and focus. When you meditate, one of the many benefits, and the one we'll talk about today, is that it can help increase your focus. It doesn't mean right away you're going to focus much better. This is a practice, so you practice over time. But the practice is a practice in strengthening focus. And what you practice, as we say, on the mat, so what you practice on your cushion, helps you then outside in real life. So when you practice working on your focus and attention, it's like almost exercising a muscle. I think of it like a bicep curl, which I'll explain in a minute. So if you're focusing on your attention and growing your ability to focus, then when you're not meditating, that ability is going to come in handy in life. It's something that you're strengthening on the cushion, like a workout, and then it comes in handy at other times, not just in meditation. So the bicep curl is what I think about when I refer to how meditation works, which is thoughts will come to mind. As I said before, that's really normal and natural. I've said it in previous teachings and in the past video. It's normal that thoughts will come to mind. And your task is simply to notice your thinking. And once you notice your thinking, you bring that awareness back to your breath or whatever your focal point is. So again, thoughts come up. And the good thing is, it's fine that you're practicing detaching from thoughts. That's like a bicep curl, because that practice of having a thought and detaching is what you'll need in life when you have stressful thoughts or when things come up. You more than automatically will learn, oh wait, let me step back and observe what's going on rather than getting so caught up. But that practice happens on the cushion, and then it comes more naturally in real life. It just starts to happen over time that it's much more natural for you. So that's what's really cool about that and those bicep curls. And so meditation helps with focus like that. And the breath is a huge part of being able to focus, and also these other things that I just told you about, helping with all of the systems in the body. So I'd love you to start noticing that now and noticing it throughout your days, and notice your breath. And if you're not breathing, go ahead and make sure that you're breathing. Now, here's one of the jewels of breathing practice, which is called either deep belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, and because it has to do with the diaphragm. Here we go. Let me tell you. So you don't have to practice it yet. I'm going to explain to you how it works. If you put your hand on your belly now, if you would do that, and in a moment, you'll inhale. And when you inhale, I'd like you to expand the belly into your hand. And when you exhale, bring the belly button back toward the spine. So you don't need to do it yet, because what I'd like to tell you is I'd like you to do this gently. What I've noticed sometimes about me and about some other people is we like to go full force and do something really intensely because we think it's supposed to be good for us. So we'll just do a lot of it, or do it really with a lot of pressure. So this isn't something you have to really exert a ton, especially if this is new for you. Start out slow, because you'll see that this might feel different to you, because you might breathe in another way in real life, like outside of this practice that we're doing. So let's do that together. So put your hand on your belly nice and gently. Inhale through the nose and expand the belly on the inhale. And then exhale through the nose and bring that belly button back toward the spine. Inhale through the nose, expand the belly toward the hand. And then exhale through the nose, bring that belly button back to the spine. And the hand's there just so you can feel this happening. Do it one more time. Inhale through the nose, expand the belly. And then go ahead and bring the belly button back toward the spine, exhaling all the air, and then you can release your hands. So take a minute and think about how that felt for you. Most of us as adults breathe only into our chest. It's a much more shallow breath. But I'm told that babies breathe with that deep belly breath, that you can see a baby's belly going up and down with the breath in that way. So for health reasons, it would be really, really great, according to people who I've heard who practice medicine, to learn to breathe that way, that on the inhale, your belly expands, and on the exhale, your belly comes back toward the spine. Now, you don't have to be worried about that and make sure it's happening all day long. Let your breath be natural throughout the day. But when you bring awareness to your breath and you want to relax, expanding the belly, and then go ahead and let the belly relax on the exhale. The other thing that this type of breathing has been known to do as it induces the relaxation response is it's been known to stimulate the vagus nerve, which is another way of of stimulating this relaxation response. And that's really where you want to be. Relaxation response doesn't mean you're going to fall asleep and you're so tired and relaxed. It actually means that you've activated the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is that state that you're in where your body performs those natural functions I was telling you about. If you're in that state, it's more healthy for your reproductive organs, it's healthy for your digestion, it's healthy for you to sleep, because that's your normal relaxation state. When the sympathetic nervous system gets activated, that's when we talk about fight, flight, and freeze. And that's when these other systems shut down, like digestion shuts down and other things shut down, because your body is in more of a mode to fight, flight, or freeze, as if there's some kind of threat. And that threat can be anything from a deadline, from somebody upsetting you and yelling at you and you fight, flight, or freeze. We go into that as humans a lot. And I'll be talking about that in depth in another video. But for today, the point is, we're activating the relaxation response with deep belly breathing. So let's try that again. And this time we're going to breathe even more deeply, and I'm going to tell you how. So diaphragmatic breathing, which is deep belly breathing, we just did. But now I'd like you to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest, kind of where your heart is. And now for this breath, inhale with me and expand the belly and the ribs and the chest. And now exhale, let the chest and the ribs and the belly relax. Again, inhale, belly, ribs, and chest. And then exhale and let the body all relax. Return to normal breathing. That might not have been comfortable for you at first if this is new. Do not worry. And like I said, don't strain. You're just going to build up to this. But when you do that 3-part breath, belly, ribs, and chest, and you can imagine it happening in 3 directions, you're getting a nice full breath. But even just the deep belly breathing is a great step into what I was telling you about the research. The research itself was the diaphragmatic breathing, the deep belly breathing. Breathing in, expanding the belly, and on the exhale, the belly relaxes. So you'll get used to that over time if it's not feeling too natural yet. But believe me, it really will help. Let's start the practice together, which is going to include breathing and meditation and weaving those seamlessly together. I will mind the time. I will be guiding you. So if you're new to this, don't worry. You can close your eyes and I'll guide you. And in the end, I'll guide you out of meditation. And then we'll have a few minutes at the end if you happen to have a comment or question. Okay, so if you need a sip of tea, go ahead and do that now. Now come into a comfortable seated position. And by comfortable, I really mean getting yourself comfortable, getting your body comfy. And if you can, sit up nice and tall. Everybody's body's different, so I don't know what you're working with today, but the idea is to sit up nice and tall so that your sitting bones are rooted into the cushion and the crown of your head's lifted toward the sky and your spine is tall. Not so much that you're efforting in a big way, just so much that you're sitting up tall. You'll still have that lumbar curve in the spine, and that's natural, so just be sitting tall. This will help the breath flow more naturally as well. It's a great thing to check throughout the day, check your posture, which also helps the breath. Close the eyes if you haven't already. And if it's not comfortable for you to close the eyes, then go ahead and find a gentle gaze about 6 feet in front of you on the floor. So you have your eyes down in front of you. Your gaze is soft and you're just looking at one spot on the floor. Again, remember we talked about attention before. So you're keeping your attention in one spot. And your breath is flowing in and out, just regular, not the deep belly breathing right now, just regular breath. Feel your sitting bones rooting into the cushion and feel the crown of your head lifting toward the sky. Feel that rootedness and that safety in your seat and the expansiveness above the crown of your head. Your breath is normal, natural, let it be as you breathe in and out. Feeling grateful and in awe, perhaps, of your autonomic nervous system that automatically is helping your body be healthy and well. And at the same time, you can help affect that as you pay more attention to your breathing, making sure that you're breathing throughout the day and taking perhaps a few times a day to do the deep belly breath, perhaps 3 to 5 rounds of deep belly breathing throughout your day. Let's take 3 deep belly breaths now at your own pace, remembering as you inhale to expand the belly, and exhale, let the belly relax. Do that 2 more times at your own pace, and then return to normal breathing. The eyes are closed or having a soft gaze as you breathe naturally now. Now, as your breath flows in and out naturally and you're not modifying it in any way, as that's what's happening, the part that you're exercising now in meditation is to allow the breath to be without modifying it. Practice not controlling what's going on, simply observing what's going on. Simply observe the breath, letting it flow in and out. Now, thoughts will come to mind, whatever they are. They might be about the breath. They might be about something you did today. They might be about something that frustrated you. Thoughts might be about something you might have forgotten to do. I certainly hope not, but they might. And your practice is to let them go, knowing that the most important thing right now, what you've committed to, is to letting your breath flow in and out and observing that. Because this is great for your health, your well-being, and so many wonderful things that you're taking time for you now to really get to observe and know yourself better. The more you meditate, the depths of understanding of yourself that you have increases and increases, from getting more in touch with your body and how it's feeling moment to moment to what it needs, developing more compassion for your mind and its thoughts, your heart and its feelings, developing a better connection to your intuition and your wisdom. There's so many benefits. So as thoughts come to mind, you can let them float by, because what's most important is this practice, and you're just bringing your awareness back to the breath. I always remind myself, if I get stuck on a thought, if it's important, it will come back later. Just can trust that. Because this is the practice of learning not to attach to our thoughts. Because thoughts are not always right. Sometimes they're based in fear or worry or projection. And the place where we get centered and find our answers and peace is right here, in between the thoughts. So let the breath flow in and out at its own pace, without controlling it or modifying it. And then thoughts come to mind, and you'll return your awareness to your breath when you notice you're thinking. With compassion, compassion, compassion. There's no wrong way to do this. And I'm going to let you be in silence for a few moments so you can practice that. And if it turns out that the whole time you didn't remember once to bring your awareness back to the breath, that's okay. You being here and doing this practice is practice in itself. So for these next few moments, you'll be in silence, and you can use the mantra if you want, so hum, which means I am. And that can help you anchor to the breath. So you could mentally say to yourself the syllable so on the inhale and hum on the exhale. So on the inhale, hum on the exhale, just to anchor your awareness, building that focus. So hum. Or the one from Thich Nhat Hanh that I love, which is breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. For the next few moments, go ahead and do this practice in silence. If you notice you're thinking, just compassionately let that thought go. And bring your awareness back to the beautiful breath. Keeping the eyes closed, become aware of how the body feels. Scan the body, and if you notice anywhere that you're feeling some kind of tension, envision the breath going into that place. So as the breath goes in and out, if there's anywhere you feel tension or discomfort, relax. There's no need to force something to try to feel better. I'm not trying to force anything, but see what happens if you gently imagine that on the inhale, you're sending your breath down to that spot of the body that hurts, wherever it might be. Maybe it's tension in your neck or your head or your hands. Maybe your feet are hurting. Whatever it might be, anywhere. Very gently, as the breath flows in and out, imagine sending breath with healing energy to that area and watch what happens, if anything. Maybe the sensation moves. Maybe it stops for a moment. When we see the sensation stop or move, it helps us know it's not fixed, it's not stuck, and it's not going to last forever. Everything shifts. And this practice of watching and observing without trying to change anything helps us see that natural shifting, even of discomfort and pain. So again, scan the body, and if there's anywhere there's tension, when that breath flows in and out, imagine inhaling that healing energy toward that spot. And imagine exhaling any discomfort or disgruntledness or emotions that are uncomfortable. Imagine inhaling breath into those tension spots with no attachment to what might happen, just observe. And exhaling anything you no longer need. Doing that for a few breaths. Now, as your breath flows in and out at its natural pace, bring your awareness to your heart center, as if you could feel your heartbeat. And silently say to yourself, may I be happy. We know there's a lot going on right now in the world, in our personal lives, in other people's lives. There always is, even when sometimes other people are experiencing tragedies when we're not. So we know that. So even though there's suffering in this moment, wish yourself well. May I be happy. And while that can sound self-focused, the truth is when people are happy, they often then pass goodwill on to others, whether they do it in service or with kindness or with their compassion or with anything that's usually helpful to others. So wishing for your own happiness isn't a selfish thing. It's needed for your wellness, is to feel happy. You don't have to feel happy every minute of every day, but wishing yourself some happiness and then knowing that you will use that for good for others. Like I said, doesn't mean you're happy all the time or you're bypassing the difficulties in your life or other people's lives, but it's okay to also wish yourself happiness. So may I be happy. And feel that. See what it feels like to allow yourself to be happy. May I be healthy. Whatever's going on with you, wishing yourself well, may I be healthy. There's a lot of research showing that aging doesn't have to look like some of us think it does, that you can actually take care of yourself, and your biomarkers for aging can signify much lower age than your chronological age. So may I be healthy. May I be healthy. May I know peace. May I know peace in my heart. Wish that for yourself. See it as so. May I know peace. And now hold someone in your awareness, someone who's so dear to you, someone you love. And if more than one person comes to mind, that's all right. Invite that in. Make sure your breath is flowing in and out, and send out the wish to this person. May you be happy. See them as happy. May you be healthy. May you know peace. And now call into your awareness someone you don't know so well, but you see sometimes. Maybe at the post office or the store or at the park. Someone you see sometimes. And whoever comes to mind, send the wish, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you know peace. And now hold in your awareness all beings, all beings. And while we know not all beings right now are going to be experiencing happiness, there are many who experience happiness in the love of their families. There are people even in challenging circumstances who definitely have moments of happiness when they do things for others or others do things for them. They find ways. So just really taking a moment and wishing all beings happiness. Just wishing for that. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings know peace in their hearts. See this as so and notice how it feels in your body. May all beings know peace in their hearts. Now bring your awareness to the sitting bones. Notice how it feels to be seated in the cushion. Notice the crown of your head pointing toward the sky. Notice your breath flowing in and out. And with compassionate awareness to yourself, set an intention for how you'd like to feel for the rest of the evening, or if you're watching this during the day, the rest of the day. Set an intention for how you'd like to feel, maybe spacious or relaxed, or present or aware. And say it to yourself 3 times in the present tense. So it would be like saying, I am relaxed, or I am content. Say it 3 times to yourself now in the present tense. Preparing to come out of meditation, take a nice deep inhale through the nose. A long exhale through the mouth with a sound. Return to normal breathing, and I will ring this bell and listen to the bell until you don't hear it any longer, and then go ahead and slowly open your eyes. And make sure your eyes are open. So if you want to type any comments in the chat box, you can, and I will do my best to respond to them if I see them pop up. I'm not seeing any right now. Also, I want to just do a recap here as we close. I started off by talking to you about several things. One thing was how important experience is. So important to have this experience of meditation. So what I'm going to be announcing this Sunday in my Sunday newsletter is a 10-day experience that I'm going to offer where you'll set aside 20 minutes a day for 10 days, and you can follow along with videos and PDF document if you're interested. You don't have to use the document if you don't want. And learning to see what it feels like to set aside 20 minutes a day for you for 10 days. And that will start on October 20th. So from October 20th to October 30th, is there a way that you could ask your family for some space if you need that, if you need them to help you? And maybe it's first thing in the morning. And I really want you to know that if you stick with this for 10 days, there's a really strong chance you'll never want to give it up. And one of the things I like to tell people that they could tell if there are family members in their household that they just want to talk with this about, they can tell them that, and I don't mean this as any offense to anyone, but they can tell them, their families, that they think that they themselves would be in a better mood and that it might benefit the whole family if they give this person 20 minutes. And you could also do a trade maybe, like, hey, if you give me 20 minutes a day, I'll give you 20 minutes a day. So I don't know. I just know there were a lot of people who came to Kripalu or who have come to work with me in other places. And I said, wow, your husband or your wife lets you come. This is so wonderful. They're so supportive. And that person always says that their husband or their wife says that they always come back in a more amiable mood. And so the husband or wife doesn't mind sending them off on a meditation retreat. So I don't know, could be a perk, could be a way to help get support. So thank you, Anata, for your comment there. I'm so happy that you're here. If you want to let us know where you're from, please do. And thank you for being here. So nice to get to see your picture there. And hopefully I'll get to meet you through Zoom or through another practice. We have a couple more minutes. And so I want to just recap as Princeton. Excellent. Not too far away. So I hope you're okay. I don't know if the storm hit you, but we had kind of a rough storm last night that people are still cleaning up from. So what I want to share with you is just this recap. We talked about attention, we talked about focus, we talked about breath and how it's connected to emotional stress and things like PTSD, like how it's being prescribed to help people with emotional stress. And also it's seen to have benefits for our autonomic nervous system biomarkers. So things like heart rate, things like digestion, and really important things that we take for granted every day. And think about this, just maybe this is a takeaway for you to have as we close out. There are a lot of, as the study says, pharmaceuticals. There are many medications that people reach for and take maybe throughout the day or maybe throughout their lives. And I'm not against that. Please see your doctor for anything you want to see your doctor for and follow doctor's advice. I'm not a medical practitioner. And that's why meditation and the practices I teach are taught as complementary, meaning it complements. Do the medications that you have to do. Don't come with your medications. However, doing these can really be beneficial. So maybe what you can take away from today is the next time you feel discomfort or you're feeling stress or you're feeling overwhelmed, or like I just said earlier, the job burnout, maybe think about, whatever your usual go-tos might be. Like if your usual go-to is grabbing a cookie or grabbing a coffee or grabbing 6 Tylenol, or like, I don't know what a go-to would be in the middle of the day, but this way, or even in a proactive way, what about trying a few deep belly breaths? Just try this practice that I shared with you today and just see what you might notice. And the reason I'm suggesting this is that while the pharmaceuticals or the extra cups of coffee or cookies or these things, they may have some benefit, the benefits that you get from learning how to breathe and naturally work with your body starts to give you a more intimate connection with yourself and who you are, and self-trust that you can help heal yourself, especially if there's another time where things get a little harder. And so there's a lot that we can do to complement what we're taking, and maybe sometime in the future there might be times where we don't need as much of the other support to help us feel better, help reduce our stress. So I really appreciate you all being here. I know there are people who will watch this in the replay who couldn't make it, so thank you to you as well. And I look forward to continuing these practices and other ways that I'm going to be providing soon that we could connect on Zoom so we can see each other. And again, stay tuned for details about that 10-day practice that's coming up, and it will start on October 20th. Thank you all so much. I wish you happiness and peace. And I know that along with that, you are also probably so compassionate and aware of the places that we have to get to in our world and the things that we're all looking to change. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye for now.